I have a great story of a guy that he had a property that was 75 units, fully rented, cash flowing like crazy. He was out on a sailboat. He lived in San Diego, and a broker convinced him to sell that and to buy a 140 unit in Mesa, Arizona. Okay. So he did that. It's called the 1031 tax deferred exchange. But here's what I remember the most. He called me the day they were closing. He said, we need a manager. And unfortunately, this is what happens. So what he really needed was a property manager to actually look at that 140 unit in Mesa and tell him whether it was a good deal or not. Because the broker, they're just working for commissions. The property managers, they're the ones that actually have to make it perform. And so what happened was he was so far behind, he was already committed and he had to close. And so he ended up buying it. And here's the problem. The property was filled with a bunch of bad things. So we actually it was already had a lot of vacancy. It had a lot of deferred maintenance. And in addition to that, we had to evict a number of people that weren't paying rent because, why would you rent to anybody that can't pay? And so pretty soon the occupancy on that thing was like 60, 70%. And so then guess what he did? He fired us. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, it can't be my fault. And I'm like, dude, you bought a mess. And so we'll clean it up for you. And it took a while. It took like 8 or 10 months. But finally, he was trying to, project back onto me, like as if I had something to do with it. I'm like, all I'm trying to do is fill this thing up with good people, and he's like, well, now I'm like flying over to Phoenix all the time. I'm working all the time. And I go, dude, you sold 100% occupied boat property that had a lot of cash flow. You're sitting out on your boat and now you're flying to Phoenix and you bought this property that's, in a borderline area. It's your own fault. He didn't want anything to hear about it. And the point is that, people, like you said in the beginning, Robert, it's easy to buy something. It honestly is easy. It's not that hard to get money. Having money can be very dangerous, and so people are doing that right now. And that was a great example where a guy, he had a comfortable life, and then all of a sudden it was riddled with, and he fired the property manager after that, and then he ended up selling the property again for a loss.
And sometimes those are your best investments.
Yeah, I know. I wish I was just managing property at that time, and I wish I would have had the cash because I would have went in and swooped in and bought that thing, because it really, it takes a while to turn around a property. In some cases, it's taken me a year and a half on big ones. We have a 680 unit property in San Antonio, Texas, for example. It was, I think, remember you and I went to it. There was 300 units. There were 300 vacant when we bought it.
Wait. What's worse than that? It was the worst property I've ever seen. We walk into the first unit. All the walls are taken out because they took all the wire out of it. And sitting in front of the fireplace was the toilet. I'm looking at that and Kenny says, God, this is a good deal. He said, there's an effing toilet sitting in front of the fireplace. All the drywall was taken out. All the electrical, all the copper wires taken out. And there's no carpet. And I said, Kenny says, this is the best deal he's ever seen. This is the worst I've ever seen. But the guy I listened to was the guy that turned the property. What was his name?
Ken. His name was Ken also. Yeah, remember? And no, you're right. He was the property manager.
Yeah, he looked at this thing and says, he said to me on the side, he says, this is the best deal I've ever seen. I said, either you guys are nuts or I'm blind. I'm missing something here. And that turned out to be one of the best cash on cash returns we have.
Still, in the last 10 years, it's been the best deal that I've been able to buy. We bought it for $25 million. We got the bank to write down another $3 million. So our basis was like 22. And then we put 7 into it, and now it's worth over 60. And we got our money back.
And the bank loans you the money to rehab it, right?
Yes, right. So that is actually the power of real estate investing, is seeing that, as you say, Robert, a lot, you say, deals are done in your mind. It's something that you see that no one else sees. And I knew in 2 years I would be able to turn that property around, put new debt on it, get all the investor money back, and own it free and clear, or as we like to say, infinite